Oh yeah, we are live all over the planet. It is the Firm Report with your boys Zach Hoffman and Pat Hilton. Zach, how we feeling this morning?
Feeling awesome, man. Had a great 4th of July weekend. Now here with you.
Here we go.
Happy
Here we
Monday.
go.
How's everything?
Dude, it's great. It's great. We got a little bit of rain, but we're solid. I mean, we're embarking on the summer months here in the great state of Texas and all over the country. Things are opening up. Businesses are starting to hit the boom button, and it's time to go into maximum overdrive here and just have a killer summer.
Nice. Well,
give us the breakdown for the day, Zach. Hit one of those fancy buttons you got while you're at it, too. Come on.
Hey. Saving it for as we move forward here. But essentially, we got 5 topics to cover as we normally do. So we're going to start with our settlement rundown, the big wins that we're seeing across Instagram. Then we're going to go into summer travel season, lawsuit tourism, and just out-of-state cases in general. Topic 3, if you didn't cover it, don't worry, it's not too late. You can always do a post report and essentially seed coverage going into next year. Then we'll go into topic 4. Unfortunately, a lot of bad things are happening in the news cycle, as they always do, but becoming the news for local crises and essentially disasters, it's really critical. And then going into topic 5, I would have to say my favorite sports team of the year, the Breakout Boys, Savannah Bananas, essentially their telecoverage on ESPN, how they capitalized it on YouTube and really hit a proverbial home run.
Dude, their marketing is so darn good, I can't get away from it. And they've created their own form of baseball called banana ball with different rules and stuff. So let's break it down. Let's hop into topic number 1.
Yeah, so as we hop into the firm spotlight, the Instagram wins, the big settlements that we saw posted on social media, we're going to start with the Mike Morse law firm, 855 Mike Wins. Posted a $20 million plus win in Michigan. Then Morgan & Morgan, as they continue to study their audience's behaviors, they don't forget to post a settlement. So all you attorneys out there, you should be taking note of this. But they had a $7 million plus win in Fort Lauderdale, a $1.6 million plus win in Tampa. Then you have Jacoby and Myers, big boys out in Los Angeles and California market, posting a $1.25 million win. And then Steinger, Green, and Feiner, the injury lawyers, essentially posting up another big one, $1 million slip and fall down here in the South Florida region. And that's our rundown of the top 5 posts that we found on Instagram spotlights for the big settlements.
I love that. And it's just such a simple way to take something that you've already done, that you've already succeeded with, you've already served your customers. Why not just take that, share it with people so that they can actively see in real time what you're providing as a solution to people?
Oh, for sure. And definitely as you continue to see Instagram and all the social media just grab the attention of the consumers, it's going to be critical. They're going to cross-check your social mediums to see if you're the firm that they want to be working with.
Yeah. And again, it's so easy for you to just take what you're already winning at and share it in a new format, in a shorter format or in a clipped out format. And again, that's why I think these guys are going to be continuing to, nurture new cases and new leads that come in with service.
For sure. As we move forward here into topic 2 that we have, summer travel season, lawsuit, tourism, and out-of-state cases continue to boom for a lot of practices. I mean, look, kids are out of school, kids are in summer camp, people are traveling, and lawsuit tourism is no joke. Essentially, when you look at some of the major cities in the country, there's multiples of people traveling to a city versus actually living there. Take Las Vegas, for example. You have 500,000 residents and 20 million annual visitors. So when you hit all those specific topics that people could be running into as an instance of tourism injuries, slip and falls at major hotels, major attractions, essentially injuries that could happen on various rides at different theme parks in your locale, there's a lot of opportunities to publish breaking news to attract tourists when they're actually researching a law firm coming back into the market that they just visited. So,
yeah,
a lot of details there.
That's big. And I mean, when you look at the research that you're able to do and how fast you're able to do it, people within a local vicinity are going to find you instantly. I mean, look at how they research anything. Where am I going to eat? Where am I going to go see a movie? I want to take the kids to see a banana ball game. You can find that all in seconds. You've got to be available. You've got to be on the SEOs, got to be on Google. You've got to be on social, and you've got to be making yourself available to be found, or they're going to find somebody else.
Oh yeah, and essentially the critical item here is that those search results become a whole lot less crowded than your standard car accident injury or, motor vehicle accident. When you start to talk about like tourism injury, hotel injury at a specific location, I mean, those searches and those queries are essentially, I would say, nil in competition versus some of those main, threshold queries that people might be searching.
And like you've said here on the show a lot lately, and I really like this take, is that people have the opportunity to become the local voice. Like what you're doing here, you've got some cool settings and stuff. Yeah. We want to make sure we allow people to be confident in the fact that they can be the local voice. No, like we talked about, nobody's watching the news anymore. They want to see you. They want to see your channel. They want to see what you have to offer, and that's where you're going to get the client base too.
Oh, for sure. And that's going to take us back into the Savannah Bananas. But even if you look at your local anchors that are broadcasting on the local news that you're funding, essentially you'll see they have just as strong a social media followings as they might actual viewership when it comes to watching it on TV.
Yeah, they have to have that social proof to match what's on the television, because if people go to TV and they see somebody, then they go to their Instagram and they've got 17 followers and just a picture of their dog, then it's like, am I even on this person's right page? I must be on the wrong page. You got to keep both things updated.
Yep, you got to be present. And like I said, those main queries, those main search events that happen related to tourism travel or people like visiting your location are going to be a lot thinner than your standard accidents that you have in the marketplace.
Yeah,
so
you got to find a way to cut through.
People outside the market are definitely going to be searching. I mean, look, down in South Florida here, where we file a lot of the cases when it comes to cruise accident and injury, that's a national search query that a lot of people are searching nationwide. And when you look at the search data on different like travel injuries, essentially there's high volume in a lot of pockets. So it's really critical to position yourself, especially if you're in the local market where you can actually file that case.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, there's just so much opportunity. And I mean, you got to be doing all these things. And if you're out there and you're not doing any of this, make a list of some of the stuff that you can do today. Record some videos today. Yeah. Costs you nothing to pick up the phone and to record something and get something out. Find a way to get consistent. Start with one thing and then move more of this type of media marketing into your dinner plate there.
Oh, for sure. If you didn't cover just, essentially do 2 topics this week, it's much more than none. So
absolutely,
just keep moving forward and keep progressing.
Yeah, totally. Give them number 3 there, Zach.
Yeah, as we move forward into topic 3, didn't cover that event, essentially July 4th weekend that just happened. It's not too late. You can always do a post-event coverage. You can talk about big firework events that happened in your town, as well as essential covering those accidents and injuries, those unforeseen events that might have happened as a result of just high capacity traffic and the dangers of being on the road during the holiday. But seeding that information today is going to help you seed the information going into 2026 and into the future. So it's not too late. Do post-event coverage. That could be critical for your practice.
Yeah, and I mean, let's face the facts. Just because somebody saw coverage of it over the weekend, most of the people that follow a page, if you follow a social media page and they make a post, it only shows it to like 10 or 20% of the followers. Most people probably missed it. And so you're actually giving them the coverage that they need, despite the fact that it's maybe 1 day, 2 day, 3 days later. It's still relevant because it's still within the viral window.
Oh, for sure. I mean, look, doing post-event coverage definitely helps everybody and anyone. Essentially, it helps the social media engines as well as the YouTube engine, because essentially there might be a content gap. So that information is not necessarily too late because people are still searching it. And essentially, the crawlers of the social engines as well as YouTube are going to be out there grabbing that content and then recycling and using it for users to find your practice.
And then it's going to be marked forever. One thing that people forget about social media or just the internet in general is that you post something and it lives there forever. So as you continue to post 3, 4, 5, 7 times a week, your content starts to compound. It starts to live on these channels. People start to navigate to your page. And even if you think people aren't watching, they are. Because you might see that your videos have 2, 3, 4, 500, 5,000, 50,000 views. You might think in your head, I thought this would have a lot more likes and a lot more comments, but people are seeing it. And sometimes they're not engaging with it until they send you a message and say, I've been meaning to message you for like 60 days. How do I get started with your service?
Yep, for sure. I mean, it's, definitely like you said, that content, that video content they're creating is a compounding asset. So going forward, it does create a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, you got to get on there and you got to talk. And we'll add it on the end, but YouTube has had something to say about AI generated content because they want real creators on the platforms. And I think that benefits all business owners. We can chop that up on the way out today.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. As we move forward here, so we go into topic 4, and essentially if traditional media has you frustrated as an advertiser, look, it's never too late to become the news source and start to cover local crises and local disasters. Unfortunately, if you look at the recent events in California, it was only since January of 2025, as we move now into July of 2025, since there were, devastating fires happening. Essentially, there's no responsibility necessarily pinned yet to the Madre fires, but essentially, there could be responsibility when it comes to the power companies as well as other, actors when it comes to these fires. The Eden fires and Palisades fires happened this year, so it's never too late to create more coverage and get that content out there. So essentially, when people go back and search for California fires, that your firm is, essentially positioned to leverage off of those visitors.
Yeah, there's definitely a gap that happens, and we discussed this last week, between the coverage that you get from social media or a response that you can get from someone on social media and then local traditional coverage. And if you're the first one to get to stuff, even if it's quick, hey, listen, boom, 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 boom. If you need help, if you need a free consultation, if you want to talk to someone, fill out our form or whatever. Making yourself available the second something happens puts you ahead of everybody else. And so, I mean, I like where your head's at with this whole thing of combining. There's nothing wrong with the traditional media stuff. You work with a lot of people that do it, but make sure that they can access you on both sides of the coin, on their phone here with the internet and on their phone here calling your office.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And even, another recent event that happened, the Texas flooding over there in Kerr County, which is essentially, it's a location, it's low coverage, right? It's outside of Austin. Outside of San Antonio, there's only essentially, a population of 50,000+. But apparently for Texas residents, it's a big campground location. So essentially these floods, if you are covering the floods in Houston, which happened over the past few years, you're once again seeding and positioning for future crises and future content that's going to be, result in cases, unfortunate events. But essentially that leads to opportunity in this field.
Well, it does. And also, I mean, it's a nasty topic, this Texas flood thing, but at the same time, someone is going to have to be held accountable. Unfortunately, the camp director lost their life trying to rescue kids, obviously very brave. And as a parent who lives in Texas, 3.5 hours from there, who sends his kids to camp, not there, but other places, fortunately, where there's no river, and that's not a pun. I'm just being truthful. I looked at a campsite my kid's going to in a couple weeks, and I'm like, okay, there's a dinky lake and no river. She'll be fine. Wear a life jacket. And but on the other side of the coin, it's like I would be looking to hold someone accountable if something had happened to my kids. Someone needs to be held accountable for.
We talked about it at the call. Essentially. Right. The same location had, unfortunate floods, I think back in 87 or in the 80s. Yeah. So, I guess the standards that, Texas might have created as a result of those events should be brought up to light, a few years, decades later, but essentially it's still relevant, right? As to like how they may have responded or created a response system. So essentially, people could have been saved in this event.
It's horrible, number one. And it is something that people are going to have to deal with forever now, number two. It's very easy for me to jump on here and say, oh, they could have done this, they should have done that, something happened in 1987. We both understand that, folks. The thing that we are considering is that, and this is every single week, is that families need help. If there is a personal injury, if there is a law firm that can come and represent families, our job is to connect those families with a good law firm that can serve them. And in my opinion, in this instance, there are going to be some phone calls made.
Look, the largest cases in the country that have ever been settled start with just an inkling of evidence that affect what you call, essentially a mass tort, essentially a large populace that may have been impacted by a drug or a product or even, an event. It all starts with just like one clue and one hint, and then having that, seated as content within your social sphere could be critical to, leading that case. Yeah.
And it's just really sad. And so anytime you're looking at a situation like this and something has happened to a loved one, or you've lost a member of a family, I think that it is very important to seek some type of skilled, lawyer or someone that knows the law, because you're going to want to have information that can lead to some kind of discovery.
For sure.
And we obviously want to make sure that anyone affected by those floods or any wildfires in California or anything that has happened in that Ohio area, there was a train there's all kinds of things that happen. North Carolina was
There's always events. There's always events in various markets, but that goes to, us, really emphasizing if there is frustration with traditional media and the coverage representation your firm gets and not coverage in the news, take it to digital, take it to social media, take it to YouTube, take it to going live, become the relevant person in your market when those major events are happening.
Because I'm telling you, a lot of people are on the phone this morning in Texas.
No, there are people, following it 24/7, essentially if they're at work or they have to go to like a, construction site or any type of work that they may be doing, they're essentially going to be following it live on YouTube or on their phone to get the broadcast that they want. Traditional media has their, regular schedule they have to stick to. So essentially, you can garner that coverage on the phone, on media.
Yeah, they're going to find that user-generated content that they want by users of these platforms that are making content. And those are becoming the voices and they call them citizen journalists of our time.
Yeah.
And so be that. Sure. Install that in your company. Install that in your agency, whatever you do.
Citizen journalism is becoming, huge. A leading coverage, leading innovator in today's marketplace. Even if you look at, situations internationally, some of the only coverage that you might get going into the future is going to be citizen-based coverage.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's just becoming more and more popular. It's also something that people trust. That this guy, he's got no skin in the game. He's sharing. He's on site. He's here. He's there. I can see it. I can hear it. I can feel it. You can feel the emotion. There's just something different about a user giving you their heart and soul, as opposed to feeling like you're getting the coverage through a scripted scope.
Oh, you can look at it even for like the oldest game in radio ads is if your radio ad isn't really hitting the same impact, call the local jockey to have him, re-record your ad, essentially to give him more emphasis. Look, it's the oldest playbook in the game. So it's like, utilize it for yourself. There's nothing better than the lawyer coming across with true emotion to really hit a message home to a potential victim to call their firm to represent them in a case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And again, anybody who's been affected, our thoughts and our prayers are with you and your families at this time.
Sure. Yeah. So essentially, to move forward into, I would call us, just a little bit of like a brighter angle, are essentially looking at our boys over at the Savannah Bananas with Banana Ball, really cracking a traditional mold and a traditional medium and just taking it to a whole nother level. And they are straight up sharing the playbook with your law firm, with lawyers, with consumers out there. It's all about social media. When it comes from social media coverage for the team themselves down to the players, it's a true social media reach to really make an impact. And their impact is exponential and even has Major League Baseball on their toes as to what Banana Ball is going to be doing next, because they're utilizing these Major League ballparks and they're selling out where teams that they've had that haven't sold out a game in years, these guys are selling out days and nights back to back, even taking it to football stadiums and selling out in markets where they can't sell out stadiums either. And this is, Savannah Ball.
It's awesome, man. And I think
Savannah Bananas, man, taking the world by storm. They're even expanding their league, which is
the Banana Ball League.
Yeah, it's it went from the party animals. The latest one is the firefighters, and they even take people within the particular niches and the cultures that they're hitting. So the firefighters team is essentially, it's coached by an actual firefighter. And, they're really hitting a home run when it comes to paying attention to their audiences and then really just capitalizing go forward to really maximize their audiences.
Well, I think that what we're also seeing is almost the, the internetification, the social mediaification of sports. And I explained this on the show, maybe a month or so ago, where, WWF was World Wrestling Federation, and they were eventually sued by the World Wildlife Foundation because they had the same acronym, I guess it's called.
Really?
And
I didn't know that.
They were. And so then they changed it to World Wrestling Entertainment, and they started to promote themselves as sports entertainment, not pro wrestling. They are not pro wrestling anymore. They're sports entertainment. And I think, personally, Banana Ball and the Savannah Bananas have kind of taken a note from WWE, the Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Triple H, Vince McMahon playbook and said, wait a minute here. If we just take the foundation of baseball, or, for them wrestling, for them baseball, and we just turn it into an entertainment, fun joke that's kind of almost scripted, like you said, like the Harlem Globetrotters. They've been around forever. And we add a twist to it to make it like the villains versus the good guys. It'll be awesome. And that's exactly what they've done. I see people doing backflips when they catch balls in the outfield. I see them doing little booty dances with the catcher and the pitcher. Then they throw the ball. Like, there's all this fun associated with baseball that's not normally associated with that sport. Baseball's boring.
I love baseball. I wouldn't necessarily call it boring.
I think it's hot in the summer. To some people, it's not very exciting. Yeah. You sit there all day and you watch it. It's very old school. And I think, again, I enjoy baseball because I grew up in St. Louis. There wasn't very much else to do. But for a lot of people that are new users, they can't sit through a game. Like you said, your kid loves it.
Oh, yeah. Tons of kids love it. And it carries the family in-house for them. But essentially, if you take the playbook from Savannah Bananas and you just crush it digitally from a coverage perspective, your local news coverage and even national news coverage is going to be going to you as the expert to essentially pull into their, media coverage. There's not bigger news out there than Savannah Bananas being broadcasted on ESPN and getting prime time on a Saturday night at 7 o'clock, July 4th weekend, than essentially any other coverage that you can get. So if you start to crush it with local news coverage as a law firm in your marketplace, and they continue to see you hitting the flood notes when people are looking at injuries news or accidents in your marketplace, they're going to call you in for coverage in stream. And there's nothing more priceless than that. So take those notes from Savannah Bananas and what they're doing to really carry their coverage forward into the national segment.
And again, it's like people like you and me who grew up on America's pastime, baseball, we love it. But again, the new generation might look at it and be like, gosh, it's so slow, or gosh, it's this, or gosh, it's that. And giving them a twist or a remix on it that's a little bit more YouTube-y or a little bit more, TikTok-y makes it so much fun. And then I think, personally, in turn, they're going to like baseball even more and respect baseball even more. So it's not a dig on baseball. It's a grow into it type of thing.
Oh, it's going to bring more interest into the core game. That's not even a question. And essentially, you can see Savannah Bananas are going more mainstream. They definitely have more diversity on the team than they've had before. So essentially, you're going to start to see a lot more interest in Major League Baseball as a result of what Savannah Bananas are doing. But once again, their main coverage is on social media. They're a viral sensation, and then traditional media is essentially then trying to leverage that into their coverage as well. They don't want to miss the boat either.
They do not want to miss those millions and millions of views showing up on their network.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Especially, like you said, when they come into a market like I was in Anaheim, it was completely blasted, sold out. People were in such a good mood. They clearly had a great time. You went to a show in Florida. I heard they sold out Tennessee Titans football stadium and all these other places since we've been talking about this. And it seems like it just continues to heat up.
Oh, they just sold out Fenway Park this past weekend. I mean, 60 Minutes even covered them. Essentially, traditional media is just biting into them and eating, what they can from the coverage that essentially Savannah Bananas are creating for themselves. And they continue to expand their coverage and their networks as they continue to gain critical mass.
So do you think that there will be a streaming option for them, or do you think they just keep it live in the stadium?
I think they're going to, I don't think they're going to cut off any ideas, but I do essentially, think that right now, they must be 10 to 20x in revenue this past year, and they're taking it as it goes. I mean, if you're Jesse Cole over there, pinch yourself, you're caught in a dream. But it's awesome as to, the critical mass that they're catching. The Savannah Bananas are essentially a tidal wave, and how big they make this league and how fast they do it and the coverage that they continue to expand to. I mean, who knows? Sky is essentially the limit at this stage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it.
Sure.
Zach, give them some final thoughts as we cue the music.
Well, definitely, it's never too late. Fire up your phone if you have an iPhone or a Galaxy and start streaming. Just hop into social media and go live and start to publish for your law firm and get those cases today. If you need any assistance, call us at Exults. We're ready to help you.
Definitely ready to help you take your message to the next level. Anything you need, shoot Zach Hoffman or myself a message, and we will lead you in the right direction to talk to someone
for sure
who can get you started. Rock and roll. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Pat Hilton. This is Zach Hoffman. It's the Firm Report every Monday on the dime coming at you, and we'll see you on the next one.
Have a great week.